Every mother and father, every inventor and explorer, every teacher of morals, every corrupt politician, every superstar, every supreme leader, every saint and sinner in the history of our species lived there on a mote of dust. Earth is a very small stage in a vast cosmic arena. Think of the rivers of blood spilled by all those generals and emperors, so that in glory and in triumph they could become the momentary masters of a fraction of a god. Think of the endless cruelties visited by the inhabitants of one corner of the god on scarcely distinguishable inhabitants of some other corner of the god. How frequent their misunderstandings, how eager they are to kill one another, how fervent their hatreds. Our posturings, our imagined self-importance, the delusion that we have some privileged position in the universe are challenged by this point of pale light. Our planet is a lonely speck in the great enveloping cosmic dark. In our obscurity, in all this vastness, there is no hint that help will come from elsewhere to save us from ourselves. It is up to us. It's been said that astronomy is a humbling, and I might add, character-building experience. To my mind, there's perhaps no greater demonstration of the folly of human conceits than this distant image of our tiny world. It underscores our responsibility to deal more kindly and compassionately with one another, and to preserve and cherish that pale blue dot, the only home we've ever known. Thank you all for your attention.
And on behalf of the Dunlap Institute, the Dunlap family who are here with us today, and the University of Toronto, I'd like to thank Dr. Tyson for a really magnificent lecture tonight. And he's very generously volunteered to stay around for a little while and ask questions, even though he disclosed to us...
I'm going to answer the questions, not answer.
Sorry, yeah, answer. You can ask the question. He's got to fly out early tomorrow to film yet another episode of Cosmos for all of it. Those of you who have questions, there are microphones on the ground floor here, staffed by some of our graduate students. So if you'd like to ask a question, please come on down to the microphones.
And wait, and if you're in the cheap seats up there, we can find you and then just speak up and I'll repeat the question. Because you don't have microphones up in the, right? So I don't want to leave you out. Even though you got here late, I don't want to leave you out. Okay, do we have a question over here? Oh, he just wants a big, but you don't have the microphone yet. So, yeah, so there's a microphone there, but...
I've been listening for years on Star Talk Radio, been into astrology since I was a child.
Astrology?
No, I'm sorry.
I knew what you meant.
I just want a big high five for all your accomplishments and everything you've done.
Okay, come on, right here. Thank you. All right. Question at the microphone.
Hi there, I'm Karen.
Hi, Karen.
So I also share concerns about what's happening, especially in the U.S. and a little bit here about sort of the dumbing down of our of people and are the pressure to do that. So I'm wondering, do we have to wait for a generation of anti-scientists to die off before we can go back to restore science to its rightful place?
Yes. Okay, next question. The question was, do we have to wait for a generation of anti-scientists to die? There's some of that's going on. I mean, it's in the United States, when racism was rampant, there was a whole generation of people that would never sort of convert in that one, and they just got old and died. A next generation rose up not knowing anything about segregation or Jim Crow or anything else, and they had a different awareness and understanding of the world. Occasionally, it has to happen that way. I would just hope not, and that's why we made Cosmos. Okay, thank you. A question right over here.
Thanks for your talk and for everything that you do to try to educate the world about science. Do you have any tips or advice for scientists who need to communicate their message to the public or to the media about how to do that effectively?
Yeah, thanks. So I think some of the anti-science sentiment, dare I even say this, came about because of the conduct of scientists themselves, acting as though they are part of a priesthood. No one is allowed in. They have a lexicon you don't understand. They think of themselves above you. They don't watch television, so when you say you enjoyed a reality show, they look at you like you're an idiot. How could you possibly enjoy a reality show? Actually, it is entertainment, by definition, because they're very successful. So there's an attitude that I have found that pervades the academic community in some measure, but also just the general intelligentsia, looking down on those who don't know better or less educated than you. And without any kind of sense of understanding or compassion of their circumstances, I'm not surprised that there's some backlash to the community of people who see themselves as intellectually different and distinct from everyone else. So part of the challenge here is to not say, I'm sitting up on the throne, come up to the throne and kiss my ring. It's, where are you? Let me come to you. And let's talk about this. Look at how fun this universe is. Look how fun these bugs are, or these plants are, whatever is your scientific passion. If you have passion, it leaks out of you and other people know it. And so, I don't see it as something that is not without the responsibility of the scientists themselves to solve. Okay, all right. The burnt orange shirt, yes, and speak up loud so we can hear you.
All right, hey,
Hey. By the way, we can all hear you perfectly, right? Even up under the thing there? Yeah, so great voice, good acoustics, go for it.
You were talking about dark matter and dark energy and how it's so massive, like a huge part of the universe. Is there any way that there would be dark matter planets or solar systems? Anything like that?
That's an excellent question, and we've actually posed that question among ourselves. Because if we're made of matter, and we've got a sun and planets, and could there be dark matter sort of communities? No. No, but because we do know a couple of things about dark matter. It doesn't stick to us. If it did, we'd be able to detect it in other ways other than its gravity. It doesn't even stick to itself. And you have to be able to stick to yourself to make a planet. Because that's what the atoms did to make molecules. That's what the molecules did to make rocks. That's what the rocks did to make a planet. Dark matter passes through itself, as well as through us. It has mysterious properties that will prevent it from ever becoming a dense pocket of itself. Thank you for your question.
My question is, growing up, I had a real problem learning the order of the planets until somebody told me my very eager mouse jumped straight up Nathan's pants. And now that
Jump straight up.
Nathan's pants.
Nathan's pants.
Right, that gives you the order of the planets. So I was wondering now that you've annexed
That's the
Pluto.
first of that I ever heard. Did you have mice? Did anyone else hear about Nathan's pants?
All right, well that was not me. Okay. My question was going to be, now that we don't have Pluto, could you come up with a new mnemonic for kids to remember?
My very educated mother just served us nachos. Yes, right here.
Hi. We were talking a lot about scientific illiteracy, and I think a lot of it does have to do with science journalism and how scientists comport themselves and the ability to bring people up to your level rather than talking down. But I also think that education, less so in Canada because we have a lot of government assistance, but I know in the United States it's a huge investment monetarily. So I find with the internet, a lot of people are self-educating through stuff, and the paywalls in journals, like I'm a master's student and I still come up against paywalls even through my institution. And I think that's a huge barrier to education, so that's science coming up against itself. But I'm wondering what your opinion is on the self-education on the internet and how valid that is.
The problem with the internet, there's more than one problem with the internet, but the one that I would say is at the top is no matter how crazy your idea is or how long it is, if you just type it into Google, you will find everyone else in the world who thinks just like you, leaving you to believe that you have a legitimate thought about the world. Because you're getting confirmation from others who think just like you. It gives you a false sense of what is true. So if you are sure Earth is flat, type in flat Earth, you'll go to the Flat Earth Society pages, you'll go, and there's a whole, they have conferences, and you say, Earth is flat. No, it's not, okay? So at some point, you need some referencing outside of this search mechanism that gives you the illusion of truth. And I don't have an easy answer for that. What I try to do when I teach is teach people how to think about the world, how to interpret information, how to put it together into a new idea. I'll never teach you what to know. And the teachers who are trying to get you to memorize the planets in order, no wonder why people got upset when Pluto got yoked from the list. Because your understanding of the solar system was a list. That's not how you understand the solar system. The solar system is, we have gaseous planets. We have rocky ones. We have icy bodies. We have rocky bodies. You don't count them and believe that that's science. You understand their properties. You can compare and contrast them. Do you know Saturn has aurora in its northern and southern hemispheres? Just as we do here? And surely, well, you've all amassed yourselves near the United States border, but if you get north in Canada, you might see some aurora every now and then, the northern lights. And so, books tend to have some filtering there, although we saw some interesting exceptions. I don't know that, I think if you stick with the .edu sites, you'll do a little better. These are the sites that tend to be produced in universities. And most universities have awesome posted course syllabi and book lists and all the rest. And MIT now is coming up with open online courses where you can take, those will have been vetted for the crazy, crazy things. And you can at least anchor yourself on a path to enlightenment. Okay, any others up in the, yes, right here. Louder!
Alright, so I have a question about dark matter. And you said that dark matter is matter that increases gravity. Does that necessarily mean that it has mass? And if so, then it must be made of different particles with different laws of physics. Would that make sense?
So, you've overinterpreted one thing. We call it dark matter, but we have no idea what it is. So we shouldn't call it dark matter. And I'm campaigning to call it Fred. And that way, your line of reasoning would have never come out of your mouth. You would have said, okay, Fred has mass and has this and it has that. I don't know what it has. It's Fred, right? So all we know is that Fred has gravity. That's all we know. We don't know anything else. Particle physicists think it's particles. that don't interact with us or themselves. That's because they're particle physicists. If you were a hammer, all your problems would look like nails to you, because that's what hammers do. So, we don't know what it is. That's my answer. We don't know. Sure, I have no reason to doubt it. Smart people maybe yet to be born, but we're a clever species, we figure stuff out. But I do occasionally lay awake at night wondering if there's some challenges in the universe that we're just too stupid to figure out. Where our brain, we say we're intelligent, but we defined what intelligence was and said we're that. Do you think aliens coming here in a spaceship? Well, first they got here in a spaceship, and we can't leave low Earth orbit. So they're probably smarter than us. If they're smarter than us, are they so much smarter than us that they will return back to their home planet, concluding that there's no sign of intelligent life on Earth? I lay awake at nights, hoping we're not just the blithering fools occupying the third rock from the sun as viewed by intelligent aliens on another part of the universe. And I've tweeted to this effect. I said, I'd be embarrassed to tell an alien who just landed where we get our energy from. They'll say, well, how do you power your civilization? Well, first you fight a war, then you dig oil out from fossil fuels, and then we power our civilization. The alien would laugh, slap its knee if it had knees. Say, you idiot, the universe is full of energy. I know. That's the conversation I don't want to have with an alien. Right here, yes.
Okay, great. Dr. Tyson, you're the man, obviously, and I just want to say that. I've got, yeah, thanks. I've got two questions. One's very serious, the other one is for me personally. The first one is, if there was a celestial body of our solar system that you could just be gifted intrinsic knowledge about, like you could just pick Europa and just know everything about Europa there is to know, just instantly, which celestial body of our solar system would it be and why? And my second question is...
Earth. We've never been to the bottom of the ocean. I mean, no, not the whole ocean, plus there could be an airplane down there, you know. No. So, we're still running away from storms. I want to know Earth well enough so I don't have to run away from a storm. I want to know the volcano well enough. Look, we know how to tap a keg, let's tap a volcano. It's full of energy. Alright, so I want to know Earth better so that we don't run away from it. Right?
You wouldn't take Titan so you could, know if there was like life underneath the methane lakes or anything like that?
You said if I could take one object and know everything there was to know about it.
Everything there is.
It would be Earth, because I know what I would learn would be interesting, because it would give me power over my survival going forward. If I knew everything about Titan, and one of the things to know about Titan is that it has no life, I've just lost that one. I'd be pissed off. Okay. Right up here, yes.
Hi, thank you so much.
Louder.
Hi. Coming from a social science background, I was wondering.
As was my father, by the way. He was a sociologist.
When you are advocating for more science literacy, are you also envisioning a place for social? Are you talking about all sciences, including social sciences?
No. Yeah, I'll tell you why. No, I mean, I love me some social science, don't get me wrong.
How do you envision it with regards to the art sciences and kind of sciences?
Yeah, so she's wondering when I say science, am I including all of those fields that have appended the word science to them? Like economic science, social science. So here's why. By the way, I'm a big fan of everything that drives the richness of culture. The social, cultural, intellectual richness of culture. And that includes art. It includes sculpture. It includes philosophy. It includes mysticism. It includes all these things that just flesh out the world in which we live. But they're not all created equal with regard to the development of wealth. They're just not. You can't just say they are and want to believe they are and then assume that they will be. The history of this exercise tells us that they're not. It's innovations in science and technology that we know in advance will be the engines of the 21st century economy. And so when I appeal to science literacy, I'm appealing to the wealth of nations, and associated with that would also be the health of nations. If science solves certain health problems, whole branches of sociology go away. When you're worried about malaria in Africa, you're worried about dysentery, you're worried about cholera. We solve those problems, you're on to some other problem at that point. Family dynamics or something else. So that's why I make that distinction. It's not so that we do one to the exclusion of the other. They just have different roles in society. Okay, was that a question up there? Yes.
Hi. Neil,
louder.
Hi.
All right.
I'm very much with you on your opinion of freedom of scientific expression and study and discovery. What about technology? It's a bit of a two-edged sword. What do you think? Do you think technological advancements should be regulated? If so, how?
Should we regulate technology? You said it's a two-edged sword. You mean because it could be good and bad?
And again, GMO, for humans particularly.
Oh, GMO, you mean genetically modified organisms? Yeah, so thank you. So, very important question there. Very important question. In fact, I'm going to save that for last.
Okay.
Just remind me. Make sure I don't forget. Apparently you probably have issues with GMOs, is that right? Yeah, you totally issues. Yeah, you got issues. That's okay to have issues, but you have issues, I have solutions. And that's how that works, you see? No, I got you. I got that. I'm with you. Okay, make sure I don't forget. Right here. Can't hear.
Hello?
Hello.
My question is surrounding Dr. James Sylvester Gates' work on supersymmetry. He developed a DINCRA.
He's showing off now that he knows. That's how that goes. Okay. Yes, go on.
He developed
a physicist at the University of Maryland. Go on.
Which describe the equations that make up the universe.
Mm-hmm.
And he was quoted on one of the Isaac Asimov panels that you hosted, saying that we live in a matrix.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, do you think we live in a matrix?
I've taken the red pill. Would you take the red pill or the blue pill? The red pill, you see reality. The blue pill, you live in a delusion, enslaved, but you don't even know it. So, blue pill, raise your hand. Red pill. Cool, all right. Okay, so Jim Gates is a physicist who studied some equations that describe the universe. And those equations, and the system of equations he explored, had a structure that resembled a computer program. And he wondered, are we discovering the actual computer code that established our universe? Is our universe the experiment of some PhD student in a higher dimension? Are we an ant farm to another more intelligent, vastly more intelligent civilization? I'm intrigued by this. I will not rule it out. What do we do when we capture penguins from the Arctic? We put it in a room and paint some glaciers on the wall, put some fish in the thing, and does the penguin know? I bet they do, but just in case, do they know? If they don't, why would we know? if a vastly more intelligent species just made a zoo called Earth, and we are their experiment.
Yeah.
So I won't rule that out. I think it's kind of interesting. But one thing's for sure, I want to be Neo. So, yes, over here.
Quickly before my question, my mom mailed you my Superman comic book and asked you to sign it and mail it back to me, and you did, so thank you very much.
The subtext there is that I met Superman in that comic book, which was the coolest thing ever. So the real question here is, why did your mom mail your comic book? Are you too young to know what a stamp is and what an envelope is?
It's a surprise for my birthday.
Oh, for your birthday. Thank
You're sorry.
I didn't know how that question was going to end, right? My mom mailed you my... All right, I'm glad that worked out.
Now, I am a student of astrophysics and political science. I think you will agree, in fact I know you will agree, that the only way that we can rapidly achieve real exploration and development of space is by couching it in terms of great societal motivators like the economic motivator and the motivation for survival. I put to you that the only way that that message will emerge, will get out, is if the space lobby becomes a real lobby using actual political methodologies. Is that happening? Who's spurring that on? Where is that happening?
Great question. I have an opposite philosophy, if you will. I don't like talking to members of Congress. I don't want to talk to the president. I mean, we hung out a few days ago. You may have seen the photo.
Yeah, that's how
we were chilling. Bill Nye and I were at the White House, and the president was between us, and we just quickly popped a selfie like that. And so, the reason why I don't speak to elected officials is because they represent a district, a region, an electorate. I don't want to bypass that elected official's representation of who elected them. Period. That's the opposite of what lobbyists do, I understand. But as an educator and as a scientist, that person is duly elected. Even the person in the United States on the science committee who is sure that the universe was created in 6 days, 6,000 years ago. He's on the science committee of Congress. I will not say you should be out of office. I will not say that, because he was duly elected by a community of people to represent them. I'm an educator, so instead of looking to the politicians, I look to the public. And I offer them the universe, and I offer them what the methods and tools of science tell us about the universe. That's, in a way, what cosmos is. If we can compel the electorate to think that way, then they will not tolerate officials, elected officials and lawmakers who are scientifically illiterate. Because you can swap out elected officials, but you have a community of people voting in the next one. What good is that? You run it back to Washington every 2 years. I'd rather train the electorate to begin with than I go to the Bahamas and they elect the good people every time. I don't want to be there every year. That's how democracy is supposed to work. That's how that goes. Yes, over here.
Neil, thank you very much for your talk. You're euphonious as always.
Wait, what's that word?
Euphonious.
What's euphonious?
Is
that a good word or a bad word?
It's a good word.
Euphonious.
Resonant. Pleasing to the ear.
Oh, thank you. Yes.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. That's a new word for me.
So,
euphonious.
I'm
euphonious. This sounds like Emperor of Rome. I am euphonious. Hail euphonious. Sorry, I like new words, and so I have to celebrate it for like 30 seconds before we get back to you. But it sounds like you're phony. You're a phony. You're phony. No. Okay, I'm done celebrating the word. Go.
Okay, as a neuroscientist in training, I often wonder in the future how I will be able to strike a balance between the generation of knowledge, that is research output, and the dissemination of that knowledge, bringing the frontier to the public. And so, it seems to me that there is a threshold of the public communication of science beyond which sort of research productivity is somewhat compromised. And so, my question is, how have you managed to sort of put some research on pause for some period of time? And I know you dearly miss the lab in some ways, and I mean, I don't think this is a sacrifice which is truly appreciated by the public, because it's a tremendous personal sacrifice, and it's a truly laudable sacrifice as well. And also, may I shake the hand of the man responsible for my scientific pursuit?
Yeah, sure. Euphonious, well, yeah. I am euphonious. That's okay. All right, so, first, you picked an awesome field, neuroscience. I think that is the future of psychology. I think that'll take us into the future. You guys are in your infancy, and that's a good thing, which means it's a wide open field, A. B, yes, there's a trade-off. I'm here and I'm not in the lab. And so I have to judge what that balance is for myself. I have done more public work than is my preference, primarily because I judged that there are things that I've done for the public that I may be uniquely qualified to do, and I would be irresponsible if I didn't do them. When Cosmos, the opportunity to host it, when I have this history with Carl Sagan when I was a kid in high school, how could I not do that? As much of a stress that was to family life and my kids, you wait for a month and the kids get older, the kids change. So I judged that I would be irresponsible if I didn't. And so I did. But part of my plan, however delusional, is that after the series sort of clears and the press drops off, and after I go to the Bahamas for 5 years, then I come to recover, then I'm going to go back to the lab and you'll see much less of me. Still do the radio show, but you'll see much less of me on, yes, Cosmos will repeat, but I want to pull back and refuel my tanks. And so it's a personal equation for everyone. I think you should do what you think no one else can do. And if it's research, and you could do public outreach and it's just okay, do the research. Let someone else do the public outreach who's better than you. If you're doing public outreach and people are flocking to you, and your research is like just okay, do more of the public outreach, because the greater good is better served by you doing what you're best at. So, let's go right here with the scarf. Okay, so you're representing 4 of the people in your section there. Okay. Louder.
This question was somewhat posed, not in the text, but I'm wondering, I've got a few questions, but first off, you have 3 fundamental forces not including gravity,
of course. You're embarrassing other people when you just speak like that. You realize that? You say, how old are you? You're 13, okay. So the 13-year-old knows, oh, there's 3 fundamental forces, not including gravity, of course. Okay, the 3 forces, not including gravity, are they affected by dark matter? They feel each other gravitationally, but only that. There's no other interaction between any of the other forces. There's no electromagnetic interaction, there's no strong nuclear force reaction, there's no weak nuclear force interaction with them, only gravity. That's part of the mystery of dark matter, of Fred, right? That's part of the mystery. If it interacted with our world, we'd be able to do experiments in the lab and detach them and reattach them and connect them and sniff it. We'd be able to poke it and bag it and tag it. And right now it just passes through us as though we're not even here. Okay, I'll take one more question. You or me? If you start a sentence with being a gigantic nerd, I don't know who you're talking about. But you're talking about yourself? Both of us, okay. Nerd duo, I'm a card-carrying nerd, yes, go. How many decimals of pi do you know? You know 65 decimals of pi. Wait, your friend does. Did you say you know 65 decimals or your friend does?
My friend tried to get a ticket tonight and couldn't.
Okay, so what you're saying is you hang out with people who are more geeky than you. Okay, cool. So what's your next question?
Do you watch Dr. Who?
That's a valid question.
I always take my time in relative dimensions in space. I watch it occasionally, but the big Doctor Who fan in my family is my 17-year-old geek daughter. And I tweeted just 2 days ago, I told you about that slow motion interview. So she calculated at what fraction of the speed of light that interview would have to be moving to be viewed time dilated in that state. And I posted that on the internet. If you want to date my daughter, you better figure out some special relativity. We got time for just a few more questions. Let me come back up there in a minute. Right here, yes.
Not much of a question, but you said you collected...
Okay, next over here.
You said you collected currencies. Do you want some Pakistani currency?
Do you have a famous scientist on your Pakistani currency?
Probably not.
You don't?
No, I don't think there's any... Actually, no, the guy who invented the nuclear bomb for Pakistan. No, he's not. Never mind.
Okay, a quick point about Pakistan. So I was describing the 1.3 billion Muslims in the world. Of course, Pakistan was created as a Muslim state. The 1.3 billion Muslims in the world. The Nobel Prize has been given every year since 1900 in the sciences, and we can ask how many Muslims have won the Nobel Prize in the sciences of the 1.3 billion in the world in the entire century that it's been given. And the number is like 2.5, because one of them won it in economics. If you count that. So one of the ones that won it is a physicist, and is Abdul Salam, for unifying the weak and electromagnetic forces of the universe. So even the physicist Muslim who won it was not Middle East Muslim. It's an interesting fact there. So I think he's a good candidate to put him on the next bill when you get it.
We got the same guy in all my bills. It's just a fact.
Oh, the same dude. Okay. Actually, I would welcome it as a gift because I am euphonious and I accept gifts. And I've never seen Pakistani currency, so thank you. Thank you. And who's this guy? Oh, yeah, you had a gun? Okay. Okay, well, thank you. As the number 1,000 on it is $10. Okay, all right.
So maybe we can get just one last question.
Okay,
jump back up to the balcony.
How about there, right there, with, I see you. You see me? Yes, okay. What's your question? I'm going to answer your question, then I'll go back to the woman up here because she thinks I forgot about her, what I did. So go on, what's your question? Well, and how old are you? 7. You're 7. Okay. Try not to embarrass us all, okay? Okay, what you got?
Why are you so popular?
universe excites people, in part because it excites me. And like Carl Sagan said, when you're in love, you want to tell the world. So I'm sharing with you what about the universe brings out passion within me, and to the extent that that is contagious in a good way, perhaps that's what's going on here. What astonishes me every day when I wake up is that there's right now 1.8 million Twitter followers, and I feel like saying, guys, do you know I'm an astrophysicist? Did I tell you that? Did I forget to tell you that? I don't know I don't know how. I just don't know. And in fact, earlier, my tweets are just random thoughts I have. They're just in my head, and there it is. Okay, so I'm going to send out a tweet right now. So there it is. So I saved this. So I just thought of this earlier today because I went to the center where you have food. What's it called? Yeah, that place. And they let me have beer for lunch. And so I had that. It was a local beer, and it was not there. Hang on. Come back. I'll be right there. Stay cool. I'm still online. Put on my old people glasses. And later. Where'd it go? Got it. Okay. So, there's a beer called Rhyme and Reason. And I just thought that was cool. And I thought to myself, what the world needs now is a little more rhyme and a little more reason. Okay, we can check back on that later. By the way, have you seen the homepage of the David Dunlap Observatory? Do you know what this is? Time Tunnel. This is the Time Tunnel, old TV show by Irwin Allen in 1971. And there was an energy field in there, and you'd go in there and you go back in time. And they never ended up just in the middle of a street hit by a bus. They end up in, like on the Titanic and Custer's Last Stand. And so it was a little bit of a history lesson there as well. But so that was so that's why I think, because people also like my tweets. They're just crazy thoughts I have. Did you have a second question? I will only accept a question from him. Who's bold enough to get up there and say, what the hell makes you so popular? I don't see why I would preclude a second question. No, okay. Okay, so ma'am, let me end in a response to your question. What's that? No, plus I got one from your section up there. See, the sections, but, so ma'am. In my experience, there's a demographic in our culture, perhaps you're among them, who is a little bit untrusting of progress in science and technology, concerning that maybe there's too much power wielded by people who control forces that could destroy culture or civilization. And so there's a fear factor practically for every advance in technology, less so for science, as I think you're accurately capturing here. Well, technology has been with us since the beginning, right? So you can you obtain metal from the ground and you can make a knife. The knife can kill someone, or it can kill an animal that you eat for your sustenance. Or it could harvest vegetables, if you're a vegetarian, though you wouldn't have been back then. And so, since the beginning, technology could always be used to hurt people. I don't know any technology, maybe an iPhone, that can't be used to then kill you. You know, I can take my iPhone and just slam it on your head and try to, then this would be used as a weapon. But so maybe most technology doesn't have a dangerous side, and others do, no doubt about it. So we need good shepherds of the advance of technology. And so we have regulation, we have laws, you're not allowed to stab someone with a knife. You're not allowed, well, you probably could, but you know better not to put your poodle in the microwave oven. So, yes, as we move forward, we need guidelines on how to use and manage technology. I want to make sure that as we go forward, the people who are resisting it are informed, so that the resistance is not because you're just spooked because you don't understand it. I want you to say, I don't want this because I do understand it, and here's why I don't want it. You are concerned about genetically modified organisms. Or what?
For example, yes.
For example, and so I have a response to that. Holding aside the fact that it looks like now large companies can genetically modify a seed so that it only has one cycle in a crop, so you have to go back and buy more seeds next year. I think that's diabolical. That's kind of anti the intent of nature. And so that's an aspect of genetically modified organisms, but let me speak more broadly about them. In France, you know what they call genetically modified foods? Food. The British fellow probably knows. What do they call it in France? Good, okay, good. Notice he didn't know what he said, I don't know. He didn't try to guess because I think I'm going to give him credit for the right answer that he guessed. He just said he didn't know. Thank you, sir, for your honesty. They call it Frankenfood. Because Frankenstein, that novel, written by a woman, by the way, was an example of scientists gone crazy. Okay. So, I don't know if you realize, maybe you do, and if you do, then we don't have to have this conversation because you're already there. But do you realize that practically every foodstuff that you buy and consume from a grocery store has been genetically modified? Every food. There are no fields of seedless watermelons. There are no orchards of red delicious apples. There are no wild gardens of long stem roses. There are no herds of milk cows. Everything that's there, the foundation of agriculture, is all about genetically modifying what we found in nature to better serve our needs as Homo sapiens shaping our civilization. All of it. Do you realize the silkworm can no longer survive on its own? Because we bred it to create so much silk, it can't get out of its cocoon and become a moth or whatever the hell. Who knows what it would become anymore? It's stuck inside the silk. We are genetically engineering animals and vegetables, animals and plants, to serve our needs, and we've been doing it since the dawn of civilization, since the dawn of agriculture. So, to today say, I don't want genetically modified organisms, what are you saying? Just because we can do it in the lab and do it a little faster than what the farmers were doing, that doesn't make it inherently bad. It's just another way to achieve the same result. Now, you might come up with something, if you come up with an apple that's not sweet, no one will buy it. So that's a failed experiment. Okay, let's try something else. I know, let's turn a wolf into a poodle. No, into a Pomeranian. Boy, I'd be really pissed off if I were the wolf, okay? Because, have you seen Pomeranian? They're like, they're the cutest things ever. They're so cute, but they used to be wolves, okay? Wolves with teeth that could rip your throat out if they so chose. And now we carry their genetically modified descendants in baskets to the grocery store. So, all I'm saying is, I don't mind informed dissent on the frontier of the advance of science and technology. That makes for a healthier society. But right now, I don't see that. And part of it is because people think they are informed, but in fact they're not. And but they vote and they have power. So you have a society that doesn't know how to direct its energy because people are trying to steer the ship who don't even have a map in front of them and don't even know where they came from to begin with. So, if I were you, I would not fear genetically modified organisms. I would come to understand them. And upon understanding them and recognizing how much of our civilization is based on it, then make your judgment about what comes down the pipeline. And there are enough people in here, this whole front row, we all grew up, you remember, you could not eat a watermelon without spitting out hundreds of seeds. Am I right?
Absolutely.
Right now, where's it? Give me a young in here. Like, okay. When you think of watermelon, do you think of thousands of seeds?
You've had them.
Okay, I gotta get somebody younger here.
Watermelons don't have seeds.
When was the last time you cut open a watermelon?
A long time ago.
A long time ago. How old is she? She's 10. A long time ago. Way back in Aught 3. Yeah. And did you see many seeds?
No.
So you think watermelons just come that way? No, we had top scientists working on that one. The cancer solution had to wait because we were spitting out seeds out of watermelons, and that was no good. So yes, what you want to also do is somehow manage how funding is directed in scientific enterprises. Apparently, the watermelon problem was high on many people's list for a long time. But otherwise, science and technology in the hands of enlightened people can transform the world. And let's all try to do that together. Thank you.